Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dimension Magic Gaming's YouTube channel. We're here to talk about this weekend, Niagara Falls, part of Magic or Regional. I'm here with Jamaal,
What's up, guys? How you doing?
and we're here to discuss Raymond's top 8, just Tapion list. Very simple, no spice. It's just Tapion. So Raymond,
Everything nice.
welcome.
Everything.
Glad to be here. Thank God. Here to talk about one of my favorite decks, Tapion.
Same.
All right, so Tapion was absent from the meta for a while. It had a pretty negative matchup into Jidku, where your Haruta Garnt could just get nagged off the board before you could awaken. So that was a problem for the deck. So it kind of disappeared out of the meta, even though still great engine, all the blue tools, has everything you kind of want. But Jidku being the #1 deck in the format for so long kind of pushed it out. So now we're post Jidku. Vegeta's kind of the big red deck in the format, but it's not preventing you from awakening. It's not interrupting you. So you can play your game the same way you wanted to play. So you chose Tapion going into the weekend. Maybe just give us a quick thought on why Tapion going into the weekend, and then we can go through the list.
I didn't want to play Red Vegeta. I have no idea what Nova does. I just wanted to play blue. That was one of my favorite colors. It has all my favorite cards. And Tapion has a good matchup against a lot of the decks that you see going around right now.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's got all the big generic blue boss monsters, and it has a giant draw engine to pick up a lot of cards. So there was this deck, or like Jamaal played Gamma this weekend. He ended up top 16. So those were kind of the two blue decks that people look at as they're not slow ramp blue decks that have been prevalent for a while. They're more aggressive, push the tempo blue decks, but can kind of play both speeds. So if you want to just go through the list, I know it's kind of standard Tapion, but if there's anything you want to go through, tech choices you made for the list going into the weekend that you thought were going to work, and then maybe some cards that after this weekend didn't work or you wouldn't play again.
Gotcha. We cut down one of the blue Minotias, and I think we cut down on the 8-drop Tapion, and we opted into 3 Broly's and 2 Peel-Off Shumais, and then 2 of the 17 and 18 unisons. One of my favorite unisons in the game. We need to peel off Shumai just in case, there's something we could do. Rip away combos. Easy turn 1 play. Card's just incredible. I think I would just always play it in the blue deck. Broly is our new boss monster. The card is super nice. I preferred playing Broly and getting its effect and doing something, and it's huge, hard to remove, over trying to let everything work out with the Age-Drop Tapion. Card is definitely worth playing. Just Broly and Oob just get their value straight up. You don't need any other pieces. You can just play good cards. 17 and 18, I think it's perfect for the deck. It can, if you pair it with your leader, you could summon 1 negated and have more targets to bounce and get more value off. It gives you the Z energy, so you can trade it into a better into the Z deck, go into a better Z unison like 18. I would probably up this card to 3 because you need to get the Z energy early for the 4th Offending Friends. I love that card. I think it should be a staple in every blue deck 4. I wouldn't play less. We went with 1 Oob. You got to pick between Oob and Broly. Broly's just better early. Just way more consistent, easier to play, removes a lot more. Maybe it could be a 2-up, because that's where, when you're not doing the weenie Tapions like green or blue, like what is it, leg or top, you need some boss monsters to do. I only opted into playing one 6-drop. The card feels weak right now. We don't have that many We don't have that many trunks or what's the other one? Or Go tends to play and stick on the board to get the untap. So I only feel like you only need one just in case you run into a green deck or yellow deck.
It's really there for U7, right? Just for the 6-drop potential, essentially, because they can't dump, and you can just bottom deck it. And short of that, it doesn't really hit much.
I did
that you
play
care about.
for sure. Sure, like you could cut the card. Like
No.
you have Go on at least. Like the card's great, but a lot of the times you're doing something else with that too. I put in 2 realms.
Was that for the 1 drop in Red Vegeta? Was that the idea there? That kind of counters the.
It could hit their draw engine or it could hit their 6-drop. So if there's something super annoying, super huge, and it's in your way, you can either just get rid of it straight up with Realm or get rid of 1 or 2 drops on defense and draw a card. The card's great. The card's really strong. I think it's gonna find its place. I enjoyed it. I was happy to run it.
Were there any moments that you wish you had, or that could have been UI Kamehameha? I know in my list I had UI just because of the extra combo for certain swings, but
in this deck, nah, I would prefer drawing defensively because UI just replaces itself. It could have been like most of the time UI is just a coercion, like a Whis coercion. So I preferred having Realm in this case in this deck.
An extra utility.
Yeah, the card does a lot.
So I think when people see the list, they see this 17-18 Unison, and they probably then assume, okay, so he's gonna play Prospect. That's like the meta call. We'll play Prospect with the Unison, and that's how we'll get more value out of the Unison. But you only have Prospect 2 in the side, so I guess you were leaning on Defending Friends as your main floodgate for defense.
Oh, every time. It's cheaper. A lot of people don't try to push through it if you have the same amount of hand size. So normally 1 Defending Friends is enough to buy you some time, or at least stop 1 or 2 very annoying battle card swings. Put them onto mid, playing a mock grid and attacking leader only and attacking Unison only, and then that's it.
I think Prospect also it costs 3, right? I mean, there's times where you just don't have the Unison and it dies, and then now you have a floodgate that can't even be played maybe 9 out of 10 of the times. So it's just, at the very least, Defending Friends is always a 1 energy negate, no matter what, whether you have the floodgate or not, whereas Prospect is not that.
So really strong card. If you can, I don't play Goku Frieza in this list. I do play the Trunks in the Z deck, but definitely worth playing. And some matchups just can't do anything about it. You hit them with Prospect is as good as the end of the turn for sure.
So the Z deck, you have a lot of the standard stuff. 1 Tapion Z unit, or it's a Trunks, but Tapion archetype Z Unison. You've got the Android 21, the baby to set up in case you don't have 3 Z energy, the barrier card to hopefully set up Defending Friends. I think when people look at the Z deck, they'll probably look at the Android 18 Unison and think that's something that we weren't playing in Tapion before. So did that provide any unique benefit to Tapion, or was it just a strong 3-drop Unison and worth playing just for that?
Oh, it's just a very strong card to be in every blue deck every time. At least 2 copies. Just like 1 or 2, you got to play it. Card was great all weekend. It's a little like a mini Boo Unison.
I think it gives the deck another set of legs too, right? The deck is really a lot of nothing, right? A lot of engine, and then you have the Broly and the A-drop Tapion. And then technically, but short of that, you don't have a lot of pressure or things that just hurt. And that's a card that is hard to get rid of. It's a double striker every turn. It just gives you another kind of big adjacent swing, especially with leader skill. It could be a 30k double, right? If you really wanted it to be. And then, I mean, the card itself is really, really strong, but I think it just gives the deck something else. Because sometimes the deck just doesn't have anything to do. Or you run out of boss monsters. So.
Yeah, that's true. I think the other thing we probably should just touch on is the SCR choice. I think when Tapion was kind of ruling the meta for a while, or at least at the top of the meta for a while, it was Beast Gohan seemed to be the SCR of choice, and now you're on Baby Hatch. So maybe just talk real quick just about why Baby Hatch.
Best SCR in the game.
This is one. It's top 5. And it's not 5.
No, right.
It's not 5 for sure. Hatch is insane. It just allows you to make any type of play you want. Full aggression, just tap out, try to kill him, try to see if you got him that game or not. And then you just hit him with Hatch, and there's a lot of maybe like 1 or 2 decks that have a counter to it, and other than that, they're just gonna stare with their energy. They can't get any effects off their battle cards, their unisons, no nothing. They just have to pass. They have to pass. Sure, they have all the defense energy, but to not do anything in their turn because of Hatch, you're spending 2 cards to end their turn is always worth a trade, and this card does it the best.
I think it just allows you to be aggressive, right? That's the point. I mean, people are playing Beast Hunt, like you said, originally, and I guess it makes sense, but you're just double downing on something that the deck could already do. You weren't making the deck be more aggressive. It was already aggressive. Hatch allows you to, like you kind of said and touched on, is you get to tap out and just swing and go crazy and do what the deck wants to do and not care. And then say, hey, I get another turn no matter what. Or even if it's not a winning line, it's I don't lose this game this turn no matter what. Minus a burn effect if I was at 1 or something, right? But it's just this get out of jail free card. And it's like, why do you need, if the deck is naturally aggressive, why do you need a SCR that is also aggressive? Use something to complement what the deck doesn't have.
Yeah, it covers your weaknesses, and I think you guys are kind of ruining it because it's in all of your blue decks. So for people testing against you, we know to expect it. But Baby Hatch has been kind of out of the meta for a while. So people are not, for a while, every blue deck you played against, you were trying to bait out the Hatch. Can you push enough aggression on this turn to get the Hatch out and then kill them the next turn or whatever? Now people aren't playing around it. So when you hit them with that Hatch out of nowhere, when they've kind of committed to this being the kill turn, and now you end it, I think that's a pretty strong.
And I think that's very true. It's become for me especially, it's been a very good bait card where my opponent, like you said, I got you here, and they'll push me to 1 and I'm taking my life to 1, and they're like, oh, you just don't have anything. And it's like, no, I'm just taking all the cards because I'm going to kill you next turn and I have Hatch. So
yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. There's no counters at all unless you play blue, and if you have 5 energy, no one's playing Hatch.
Or if you play Power Wish, that is
that's a good
counter. Yeah, that's a very good deck, I've heard. So the side deck you have, it seems fairly standard. Looks like you're trying to cover most of your bases. Deborah for the hand control, Quoit for like everything essentially. The Tapion Unison is still in there to respect Aegis Gogeta, I assume.
Always.
Gotta respect.
Always. And same thing with the Jiren.
Jiren's in there to respect 17. Yep.
Always gotta respect. I will always stand on, and we'll always stand on, respect the card. Doesn't matter what the meta is. You just never know. Rounds 1, 2, and 3, you never know what you're running into. You don't know, and I'd rather have it in there and take a spot than not have it and say, yeah, I lost because someone played Turn in the Tide, or I played against Aegis and they played the SCR and we couldn't kill it. I'd rather just respect the cards. They're broken cards. So.
Yeah, Hunt can also answer Aegis Gogeta. It's also there as a counter late in the game. Trunks Emotional Blow, I assume, for your barrier removal. You're indestructible in case you run into Mill. No Mill side deck cards. It's kind of interesting. I just people have fallen off of caring about Green Zamasu, huh?
Yeah.
Oceanus is here. I'm assuming for the yellow matchup. Is that safe?
Oh, for sure. It's good against red too. Vegeta, aggro decks mostly. If they wanna, they thin their deck too much. So one hatch is like, all right, gotta stop, or I can't kill you in two, 3 swings, and I get magic twice. Game's over. They just put themselves into a losing position.
I think that's the beauty of Tapion, is we keep calling it an aggro deck, but it is pretty good at playing at almost all stages of the game. It can pivot. Sometimes you just can't be aggressive, or you don't have the lines, or they're just too aggressive, so you need to be defensive. And you can play these cards like the Prospect and the Oceanus to slow the game down. And then and this is one of those decks, the more energy you have, the stronger it gets as well, because the more things you can do, which is pretty true for a lot of decks, but this deck really thrives with that. So
Yep, and then you've got the Zamasu counter here, which in theory would be to counter the red deck, Silver Bullet for red. But we can get into your matchups. You didn't play against any red on the weekend. And so it was a 6-round event. You went X1, finishing 7th. I have your matchups here. I guess I can just ask you about a couple of them that stood out. So round 1, you took a loss. Started the day off tough, losing to Yellow U7. Any thoughts on that matchup?
Great game, good player. It just came to time. That is what it is.
The next couple rounds, you were kind of in the losers bracket. So you stayed it through there. You ended up playing against Gamma 5th round, and then you played round 6, final round of the event. You were matched up against the pair down. So your round 6 opponent was undefeated, and you played against Yellow Nova, and you ended up winning and ending the tournament because of that. So any thoughts on that matchup with Nuova?
It's a strong deck. Really, really strong deck.
The Tapion, was there anything that worked against Nova that just, it's been winning all these events, it's been super strong. Does Tapion offer anything neat, or it's just you're just playing that attrition game with Yellow where it's back and forth and you just have to try and outvalue them?
I think Blue would have a good matchup. Our floodgates are better, and most of the time they will stop. We do have outs with Tapion. We could out their 4-drops in with our Tapion. We have some cards that could help fight back. Our deck is very, very. I try to make it as cheap and powerful as possible. Like all our cards, all our Garuda cost 1. They draw a card and they do something. The blue one helps remove all their stuff for 1. The green one is just crit. It did come up all day, just critting for 25k, just swing 25k crit. We have Broly's, we have Oobs. Try to make it as cheap as possible so that if they make a threat, we just answer it. We just go back and forth, but we have more floodgates, so we'd be able to outlast them.
Yeah, that makes sense. It seems like Oob would be a strong card in that matchup because they wouldn't really be able to play around not having the Z energy because they generate it so freely. So that seems like that would be good. Jamaal, you have a thought?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think the Oob is good. The Oob has moments where I think the deck does such a good job at keeping the board clear between the 8-drops and the Brolys and all of that I think the one Oob is probably good enough. But even in general, if you had a regular blue deck, Oob is great against Nuova, right? Like you said, they can't not Z charge. But I think specifically for Tapion, that 4-drop, just being able to answer the Sin, just a hard out. Barrier, blue lacks barrier removal. And then this is one deck that says 1 energy, hey, I can kill your guy, and it doesn't matter. So that's really, that matchup is very, and then even against Yellow U7, which is the other prominent Yellow deck, that's where that Gotenks, the 6-drop comes into play. It's the same idea. And more importantly, too, against Nuova, they can't play the 4-drop Nuova and swing with it. Because if you have a 1-drop out, because you could just bounce it with you can play your Trunks 4-drop and bottom deck their 4-drop. So they have to go up the chain right away, which then now takes them off of a swing So then, and that's also where we want to be, right? Every less swing you could take away, attack from your opponent you could take away is where you want to be at. So this deck has a lot of cool interactions against kind of that yellow meta. But I did watch a little bit of the end of his game in the last round, and it was still close. It was definitely a very, very like skilled matchup situation going back and forth, and it could have been any man's game. You know, if they had 5 more minutes, who's to say where that would have went? Just based off of how the game progressed. So.
Yeah, it seemed like Blue has a lot of tools to try to deal with the stuff that Yellow was trying to do. Even if we go back to Nats and Worlds where it was Blue versus Nuova at the end with Bojack, like there was a lot of things that countered what Nuova was trying to do. It's just we haven't really had a Blue deck that's been top of the meta, right? It's been there's been the road Blue deck here and there that get through, but like the 8-drop SGR, just being able to Z-charge that and get rid of their 4-drop, that's a pain to play around. There's just a lot of good interaction you have with that deck, so that makes sense. So moving forward, Raymond, you think Tapion, you stick with this for another regional, or do you think you play Chilai and Limo, or what do you think? What do you think comes out the rest of the season? You like this one?
I love this deck. Am I gonna keep playing it for the next event? Probably not, but it's always gonna be on the table. I didn't want to play Vegeta. I didn't own yellow cards, and there wasn't really anything else. There was green, but green feels a little weak right now, unless you're playing Vegito, you know, or something crazy like Adventure Time. But
that'd be crazy.
That would be crazy. You know, there's a lot of really good decks out there. I prefer the colors red and green and blue, and I just decided to take Tapion. I think I had a good matchup against most things, and I really enjoy playing it.
All right, well, any shout-outs from the weekend you want to get out there before we end this one?
Yeah. Shout out to God, number 1. Shout out to the team, DMG, the family. This is if it ain't free, it ain't for me. If it ain't DMG, there's a fee. Woo! We'll try that one. But no, it was a good time. I'll fix it in post. Basically it. I had a great time. Carta, you know, ran a great event. Having double regional. If you play both games, you get to do 2 regionals, man. That's a main event. Why not? If you play Masters, Fusion World's your game. If you play Fusion World, give Masters a shot.
And if you scrub out the Fusion World, you can just commentate.
That's true.
And that's what you can do.
But they say those who can't teach, you know, or those who can't coach, and something like that.
No, we're good. All right. So that's the end of this deck profile. We will catch up with you guys on the next video. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, guys.